This video is going to be about calculating slope given 2 points. So typically when we've been finding slope, we've been counting. We've been counting up and over, up and over, up, or down and over, down and over, down and over. But it was always up, down, and then over. When you're counting up and down, you're really seeing how far up, how far down. That's the change in the y values, because the y-axis on a graph tells us movement up and down. And when we're seeing how far over, that's the change on the x-axis, because the x-axis is how we track over on a graph. So the formula for slope, even if we didn't have the graph to count, if we had 2 points that we know are on a straight line, we can find the slope. Instead of counting the change in y, we could subtract to find the difference. So this difference from this point to this point, and then keyword in math, difference is subtraction, over the difference of the x value. So again, I'm still trying to track that, like how far up and down, that's the difference of the y's. How far over is the distance of the x's. Okay, so given a graph like this where I have 2 points on it, I like to rewrite my points so that they're right above each other. So I take the points on my graph and I rewrite them over here. So we have -8, 1, and then I've got 9, 2. And I like to write them over here and just giving myself a reminder that the x value is what goes first. It's the x and then the y values. Okay, and then I like to circle because I'm going to be circling, I'm going to be subtracting the y values. So I circle the y values on my page, and then I circle the x values because that's what I'm going to be subtracting there. So I have the official formula here. I'm going to subtract my y values. So I'm going to write 1 minus 2, because those are my y values up here. And then for my x values, I'm going to do -8 minus 9. And then I solve those to find my slope. 1 minus 2, you might think you can't do it, but you can. 1 minus 2 is -1. And then -8 minus 9. If I'm at -8 and then I go back 9, I'm at -17. So my slope is -1 over -17. But then I have to remember, if I have a negative over a negative, remember fractions are division. A negative number divided by a negative number makes everything positive. The two negatives cancel each other out. So really, this is equal to 1 over 17. So my slope here would be 1/17, a positive 1/17, which makes sense because when I look at this line, I can tell that it is a positive slope. If I had my little stick figure person, it would be walking up a hill. Okay, second problem. Now this one, I can tell my slope is probably going to be negative, because if I had my stick person right here and they were walking from left to right, they would be walking down a hill. So I'm probably going to end up with negative slope. I am going to end up, not probably, I am going to end up with negative slope on this problem. So again, I like to rewrite my coordinates, -2, 6, and I just rewrite them so that they're one on top of each other. 3, -4. That's a weird looking 4. Yes, I'm going to fix it. And then I like to, again, circle what I'm going to be subtracting. I circle the y values, and then I circle the x values because I'm subtracting the y values over the x values. How far up or down? Over how far over. So this is equal to, I'm running out of space. Let me move this over and make this a little less big. Okay. So I'm doing 6 minus, that's a -4, 6 minus -4, and then the x values are -2 minus 3, -2 minus 3. I don't really need that graph, so I'm going to make it a little smaller and move it away. All right, so now I'm solving here, 6 minus -4. I'm also having to remember from 6th or 7th grade, when you subtract a negative, when you get rid of a negative, this actually becomes adding. So these two, 6 minus -4 is actually 6 plus 4. So I'm going to just rewrite it here, 6 plus 4. And then the bottom, nothing is changing because it's just -2 minus 3. Okay, 6 plus 4. Well, 6 plus 4 is 10. Negative 2 minus 3. Negative 2, if I'm at negative 2 and then I lose 3, that's going to put me at negative 5. And my fraction is 10 over negative 5. But then I think, can this simplify? Can 10 be divided by 5? Yes. 10 divided by 5 is 2, but it's not just 5, it's negative 5. A positive number divided by a negative number is a negative number. So we would say that this slope is negative 2, because 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. So my final slope for this is negative 2. Okay, and what happens if you are given just 2 points on a line? I was supposed to have something on this page, but I guess I didn't type it, or it didn't save. Either way, if you're given 2 points on a line and I'm not given the graph, right? So it's saying, what is the slope of the line of the point that goes through 2, 5? Then the line also goes through point 9, 12. Okay, I'm going to rewrite my point so that it's one on top of the other. 2, 5, 9, 12. It honestly doesn't matter which number, which point you put first. And since I know I'm going to be subtracting, let me put these big numbers first. So that way I'm not going to be dealing with negative numbers. So I'm going to do 9, 12 minus 2, 5, right? And so I'm going to do this point minus this point. Subtracting my y values, subtracting those. Circle my x value, I'm going to be subtracting those. It's y over x. So my y values were 12 minus 5. My x values are 9 minus 2. Now, do you have to write it like this in circle to solve? No, you don't, but that's the way that my brain likes to organize it, so feel free to use that if that works for your brain. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. But I think this helps me organize like what I'm actually subtracting so I don't get confused and I don't end up with something like 9 minus 12. I don't want to subtract the numbers that are in the same point. I want to subtract the y values from this point and this point, and then the x values from this point to this point. So that's why the rewriting it and circling just helps keep all of that in order. Okay. 12 minus 5, oops, don't want to write in red. 12 minus 5 is equal to 7. 9 minus 2 is equal to 7. If you have 7/7, the same number, 7 divided by 7, fractions are division. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So I would say that my slope is 1. Hopefully this video helped. I realized I was going a little fast there. This adding and subtracting of negative numbers is going to be the most important part. I think we're going to be pretty solid at setting it up, but you have to remember that if you are subtracting a negative number, that's going to be adding. We have to remember that if it's a positive divided by a negative, that will be negative. If it's a negative divided by a negative, that gave us a positive answer. So try to remember all the integer rules. And I can include another video that kind of goes over that if you're a little rusty on them as well. Hope this video helped.